Chosen one, for the longest time they wouldn't let you speak. They twisted your truth, silenced your voice, and crafted a version of your story that fit their comfort. But now, the silence is breaking, and the truth is roaring like thunder. History is filled with moments where the misunderstood rise, where the falsely accused are vindicated. Remember the biblical story of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and locked in a dungeon for a crime he didn't commit. For years, he endured in silence. But when the time was right, God lifted him to power, second only to Pharaoh. Just like Joseph, many chosen ones are walking a path where their silence isn't weakness, it's preparation. That's what happened to Amara, a quiet soul falsely accused and buried under the weight of lies. But as always, the truth didn't stay hidden. It clawed its way out through the very mouth that once hurled false accusations. No grand speeches, no public defenses, just divine vindication. Because when God speaks for you, no one can speak over you. Psychology even supports this. According to studies on guilt and moral psychology, people who lie often experience heightened anxiety, insomnia, and emotional distress over time. The weight of deception becomes unbearable, and sooner or later the truth demands release. And when it does, it hits harder than any denial. That's why you're seeing people fumble, retreat, and shift in discomfort around you. They sense it. The narrative is changing, and you're no longer the villain in their story. You're the survivor, the light, the one who rose without revenge. As Proverbs 12:19 reminds us, truthful lips endure forever. The lies may have echoed for a moment, but your truth, it's eternal, so lean into it. Embrace your comeback. Because what's happening now is more than karma. It's justice with divine fingerprints. This is your season of revelation, and no one can silence the truth anymore. Point 1. The guilty look away, because eyes don't lie. You ever walked into a room and watched the atmosphere shift like a cold breeze just swept in? You didn't say a word, but suddenly someone can't stop tapping their leg, another is glued to their phone, and someone else just remembered they have a call to take. That, chosen ones, isn't awkwardness. That's guilt, raw, unfiltered, and loud in its own quiet way. See, when people lie in your name, when they twist your truth to fit their comfort, they may sleep at night, but their spirit doesn't rest. It knows, it remembers, it carries the weight. So when you walk into the same room as those who once tried to drag your reputation through the mud, you're not just walking in with your physical body, you're bringing light into their darkness. You're carrying truth, clarity, and divine presence, and it shakes whatever they've tried to hide. There's something deeply spiritual at play here. Energy doesn't lie, even when people do. Your aura, that divine, high vibrational energy that surrounds you, confronts them without you saying a word. It reminds them of their actions, their intentions, and how you were never the villain in their story, just the truth teller they tried to silence. And the truth? Oh, it has a way of lingering. That's why the room gets heavy. That's why they squirm, because your spirit speaks to theirs. And their soul, though it may try to wear a mask, is screaming behind their eyes, "I was wrong." Science backs this too. According to psychological research, guilt triggers specific nonverbal cues, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, and defensive body language. It's the body's way of protecting itself from emotional exposure. Their subconscious knows you're not someone to be taken lightly. You are someone to be revered because you stand in truth. You didn't have to argue, expose, or retaliate. The power of the chosen lies in their silence. And that silence, it cuts deeper than any confrontation. Let's go deeper. The Bible says in Luke 12:2, "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." That's spiritual law. When people plot in shadows, the light eventually comes. And for you, chosen one, you are the light. Your very presence is a reminder that they can't hide forever. You carry spiritual authority, not the loud, aggressive kind, the quiet, dignified kind that makes people examine themselves the moment you walk by. You're not here to seek revenge. You're here to rise. That's your divine assignment. And that's the most humbling thing for those who wronged you, realizing you always knew. You knew their intentions. You saw through their manipulation. You read their games like an open book. But instead of stooping to their level, you chose elevation. You chose silence. And in that silence, God worked. Your glow grew stronger, your name rose higher. And now they sit in the very thing they tried to bury you with, regret. But here's the key: don't get bitter, get better. The lesson is not just for them, but for you too. God didn't allow betrayal to break you. He allowed it to build you. Every false rumor, every fake friend, and every shady act was a stepping stone to your spiritual power. And just as God uses the righteous to teach others, He also uses your enemies to teach them a lesson they'll never forget. You don't mess with the truth. So walk into every room like the warrior you are, unshaken, unapologetic, and full of grace. Let your silence speak. Let your presence convict. Let their guilt preach your innocence. And most of all, let God keep elevating you. Because chosen one, you were never meant to clap back. You were meant to shine forward. Point 2, the story's getting out and you didn't have to tell it. Isn't it something how silence can speak louder than a scream? You never rushed to defend yourself. You didn't write a Facebook rant, drop a shady post, or go whispering in corners. You held your head high when it would have been so easy to snap. You walked through the fire with grace. You swallowed your side of the story, not because you didn't have something to say, but because you knew the truth didn't need to be screamed. It just needed to survive. And it did. Now the tables are turning quietly, organically, strategically. One by one, the same people who bought into lies, rumors, and twisted half-truths are starting to notice the inconsistencies, little details they brushed off before suddenly matter. That thing you said months ago, it's clicking now. That calm way you responded instead of exploding, it's starting to look powerful, not passive. That random message from someone who barely spoke to you, that's the beginning of God, stirring hearts and pulling truth from the shadows. This is divine timing, not coincidence. The Bible says in Luke 12:2-3, there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. That's not poetic exaggeration. That's a spiritual promise. You see, while you were busy living, healing, and growing, God was working behind the scenes like the most meticulous PR manager ever assigned. He doesn't need a press conference. He sends confirmation through whispers, nudges, memories, and divine connections. People start remembering things differently. They start realizing who was really consistent and who wasn't. You didn't need to expose them. God is exposing patterns. Their own actions repeated are doing the job. Someone they wronged before is comparing notes. A private moment that was supposed to be kept hidden suddenly comes up in conversation. A look, a text, a sentence. Evidence is showing up in subtle divine ways. And here's the kicker. You still didn't have to lift a finger. There's power in restraint. In psychology, it's often said that people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Your peace, your refusal to retaliate, left an impression. In a world addicted to drama, your calmness made people curious. And now, that curiosity is becoming clarity. So what do you do now? You rise. Let them sit in their confusion, their regret, their awkward apologies, or silent realizations. Don't gloat, don't say I told you so. Let your growth do the talking. Bitterness would only blur the blessing. Keep walking with integrity, because this is only the beginning of the divine campaign. God is not just revealing the truth, He's elevating you with it. God specializes in long game justice. He doesn't just clear your name, He upgrades your level. He takes the pain and spins it into purpose. Every lie spoken about you, it's fertilizer for your elevation. Every person who turned their back, they just gave you room to grow. Every unfair moment you endured, it's a setup for a stage you didn't even see coming. Now people are watching, and not with the same eyes they used to. They're paying attention because what they once misunderstood is now shining. You've become a mirror. The reflection they see in you makes them question what they believed, and that's not your burden to carry. That's God's masterpiece unfolding. So next time someone comes with wide eyes and an "I never knew," just smile. You did know. You knew all along. You just chose to trust the divine over the drama. You chose elevation over retaliation, and now the truth is louder than ever without you having to say a word. That's God, baby. The divine PR campaign is well underway, and guess what? It's going viral. Point 3, they're trying to befriend you again, but it's not pure. Suddenly they're in your DMs. Let them sit with the consequences, chosen one. 1 minute you were invisible, ghosted, blocked, talked about, lied on, and the next, boom, they're liking your photos, sliding into your DMs, commenting with fire emojis, and laughing at jokes they haven't earned the right to hear again. Familiar? Yeah, chosen one, this isn't a coincidence. It's not affection. It's not a divine reconnection. It's not even real remorse. It's guilt management. Let's get real. When someone truly regrets how they treated you, their actions speak louder than 1,000 laughing emojis or casually reintroduced conversations. Guilt management is when someone tries to reclaim comfort without offering accountability. It's when they pop back up in your life to ease their conscience, not to heal yours. There's no apology, no changed behavior, just the hope that you've forgotten how deep their betrayal cut. But you haven't, and you shouldn't pretend to. Psychologically speaking, guilt is a powerful motivator. Studies in emotional cognition have shown that people will often seek superficial reconciliation, such as sending a text, leaving a comment, or trying to act friendly, not to fix what they broke, but to soothe their own discomfort. This behavior is self-centered, not sincere. They're not looking to uplift you, they're looking to unburden themselves. They're not sorry for what they did, they're sorry they got caught. They're sorry they lost access to your energy, to your wisdom, to the loyalty that only a chosen one like you brings. And once they realize that you're no longer where they left you, they panic. They scramble to pretend the past never happened. They think a casual "hey stranger" is enough to erase the betrayal, the gaslighting, and the manipulation. But let's be clear, grace is not the same as gullibility. You are not a revolving door for people who mistreated you during their season of confusion. You are not a backup plan, a plan B, or an emotional safe zone when their options run dry. You're a chosen one, handpicked by God, refined through fire, and elevated by endurance. When God closes a door, it's not up to you to reopen it just because someone suddenly regrets the way they handled you. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is let people feel the weight of their choices. Consequences aren't punishment, they're education. And just like God used your pain to grow you, He can use your absence to teach them. Don't interfere with their lessons by offering premature forgiveness or restored access. Let them wrestle with the silence. Let them remember what they had and realize it's gone. That's not revenge, that's wisdom. And yes, it stings sometimes. You're compassionate. You remember the good moments, the laughs, the connection. But nostalgia is a liar when it tries to rewrite betrayal as a misunderstanding. Remember why God had to remove them in the first place. Not everyone is meant to go where you're headed. Not everyone deserves front row seats to your breakthrough when they were never there during your breakdown. So when they suddenly remember you, reach out to you and act like they miss you, pause before you respond. Ask yourself, is this love or is this just guilt dressed in fake familiarity? Because love takes responsibility, love takes humility, love transforms, guilt just wants a free pass. Your healing deserves protection, your peace is priceless. Your growth cost you too much to entertain shallow attempts at reconnection. You're not who you used to be, and they're not who they pretend to be now. So smile, wave if you must, but keep that door closed. They had a seat at the table and chose to flip it. Now let them watch you dine without them. Because, chosen one, your destiny doesn't come with a revolving door. Point 4, their lives are in turmoil. Spiritual consequences are real. Absolutely, Earth Angel. Let's unpack this with some truth, some soul, and a whole lot of clarity, because what you're feeling, it's not hate, it's spiritual understanding. We don't wish bad on anybody. That's not how chosen ones move. You're built differently. You're made of light, strength, and compassion. But just because your heart is pure doesn't mean you're blind to justice. Spiritual laws are real. This isn't some vague cosmic philosophy. It's cause and effect, energy exchange, and divine order. And when someone mistreats a soul that's been handpicked by God for a greater purpose, trust and believe, the universe doesn't stay silent. Let's keep it 100. When people lie on a chosen one, they're not just running their mouths, they're planting poisonous seeds into the universe. And guess what happens when you plant poison? You harvest destruction. It may not be immediate. It might look like they're thriving for a season, new job, new friends, public applause. But behind the curtain, things start falling apart, quietly, painfully, and suddenly. Jobs vanish without explanation, promotions slip through their fingers, relationships crumble as trust disappears, and then comes the silent 3 a.m. judgment, insomnia that hits different. Their minds race, their chest tightens, their spirit feels disconnected because their soul knows something's off. They're not just haunted by what they did, they're haunted by who they did it to. See, when you betray a chosen one, you're not just hurting a person, you're interfering with a divine assignment. You're disrespecting a soul that's in constant alignment with Source. You're mocking what heaven has placed on earth to guide, uplift, and awaken. And that, angels, doesn't go unnoticed in the spiritual realm. This isn't petty revenge. This isn't, oh, they hurt me, so I want them to suffer. Nah, that's beneath you. This is spiritual correction, divine recalibration. It's God saying, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. They poked a divine lion thinking it was a lamb. They mistook your kindness for weakness and your silence for ignorance. But oh, how wrong they were. You knew. You always knew. You sensed the shift in energy. You heard the lies behind their compliments. You saw their envy peek out in the way they laughed a little too hard at your setbacks. You stayed silent not because you were weak, but because you were waiting on divine timing. You were letting the higher laws handle what your words didn't need to. And now they're facing the echo of their own actions, and no, we don't celebrate their downfall. We observe it, we learn from it, we elevate through it, because that's what chosen ones do. We let their regret be their teacher. While they sit in guilt, confusion, and consequence, we rise higher. We turn betrayal into wisdom, heartbreak into fuel, and pain into purpose. So angels, don't get bitter, get better. Bitterness is a chain, but growth is your crown. You were never sent to seek revenge. You were sent to set standards, to be the example of what divine alignment looks like. Let your life speak louder than their lies. Let your peace scream louder than their drama. And most of all, let your elevation be the reply to every stone thrown. Spiritual laws don't miss. The universe takes attendance, and God takes notes. So keep shining, keep loving, keep moving in integrity, because the same people who laughed when they thought they broke you, they're watching now. And they're realizing you were never broken. You were just being built. That's not karma, that's kingdom justice. Point 5, people are asking questions and it's shaking the room. Someone finally asks, wait, did anyone ask their side of the story? Boom. That moment hits like thunder, cracking open a silent sky. Suddenly everything shifts. For years the narrative was driven by the loudest voices, the ones who were quick to blame, to shame, and to paint you as the villain in a story you barely recognized. They twisted details, omitted context, and weaponized gossip. You stood silent, not because you were weak, but because you knew the truth doesn't need to scream, it just needs time. And now time has done what truth always knew it would do, reveal. It's a strange thing to watch people wake up. At first they're confused. The puzzle pieces don't fit. The timelines are fuzzy. The accusations feel off. Questions start popping up like popcorn. Wait, didn't they say this happened in March, but that's not possible if they were overseas? Or why did they always avoid answering directly when we asked about it? Little by little, the lies spring leaks. One hole becomes two, and soon it's a sinking ship. All because one brave soul asked the forbidden question, did anyone hear their side? This moment, this reckoning, doesn't happen overnight. It's years in the making. People have been watching you more than you realize, observing how you carry yourself, noticing that you never retaliated, never bad-mouthed anyone in return, and never stooped to the level of your accusers. You stayed in your lane, working on yourself, healing, evolving, and glowing up in silence. And now, that silence is louder than their noise ever was. Science backs this up too. Psychologists call it the truth default theory. Humans tend to believe what they're told unless given a reason to doubt. But once doubt is introduced, once someone realizes they may have judged too quickly or unfairly, cognitive dissonance kicks in. It becomes emotionally uncomfortable to continue believing a lie, and that discomfort, it pushes people to start seeking the real story. And that real story, the one you lived in quiet resilience, starts rising to the surface like gold through the mud. You don't have to lift a finger. That's the beauty of truth. It walks in like royalty, unbothered, undefeated, undiminished. And you're standing in peace, not needing to explain, not needing to defend, because deep down people know. They see the glow that can't be faked, the calm that can't be conjured in someone carrying guilt or bitterness. You didn't have to fake a thing because authenticity always wins in the long run. And now, those who doubted you, those who mocked or ignored your pain, are shifting uncomfortably in their seats, because what do they say? The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Slowly, surely, that justice is showing up, not in flashy revenge, but in quiet vindication. In awkward silences where your name used to be dragged, in whispers behind closed doors where people finally admit, we got it wrong. But don't let this make you bitter. Let it make you better. There's dignity in rising without retaliation. There's strength in not needing to clap back. Your peace is your revenge. Your growth is your response. Your elevation is your closure. And make no mistake, God doesn't waste betrayal. He even uses your enemies as part of the curriculum. They think they were writing your downfall, but they were actually helping script your comeback. So let them sit with their regret. Let them replay the lies they told, the people they misled, and the stories they forced into the world like gospel. And you? Keep walking in grace. Keep living your truth. Keep shining so bright that your light exposes every shadow they tried to cast on you. Because the truth doesn't just come out, it arrives, regal, radiant, and right on time. Point 6, you've grown stronger and it's messing with their heads. They thought the betrayal would break you. Plot twist, it built you. Funny how life works, isn't it? Some people really believed that once they betrayed you, once they whispered behind your back, spread lies, or tried to sabotage your peace, you would crumble, that you'd sink into a shell of your former self. But instead of breaking, you broke through. You didn't fall apart. You evolved. You didn't retaliate with pettiness. You rose with purpose. That betrayal became the very fire that forged your inner steel. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. The idea that people often emerge from adversity stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. Rather than being diminished by pain, you gain clarity about who you are, what you value, and where you're going. The hurt didn't just fade, it transformed into insight. The person who once wept silently now walks with a glow so bright it confuses the very ones who tried to dim it. You didn't just bounce back, you bounced forward. Let's talk about that glow up, because it's not just physical, it's divine. This isn't just new clothes or a fresh haircut. This is the glow that comes from peace of mind, from healing, from no longer carrying the weight of trying to please those who never saw your worth. Your strength is spiritual now. You speak from experience, from survival, from wisdom etched into your soul by pain you never asked for but conquered anyway. And yes, it shows. That kind of power radiates. That kind of resilience is unmistakable. And that's exactly what unsettles those who once knew the broken version of you. They remember the days you were unsure, anxious, and naive. They were comfortable when you doubted yourself, when your light was dim enough that they could control the narrative. But now you're walking taller, smiling wider, and commanding your space with a presence that can't be denied. Your very existence now holds spiritual authority. That power, it's not boastful, it's divinely earned. They tried to damage your reputation, but instead they sharpened your discernment. Think about that for a second. Every lie told about you trained your spirit to detect dishonesty. Every friend who turned out to be a foe helped refine your ability to sense false energy before it ever gets too close again. They unintentionally became your teachers, handing you the gift of discernment without ever realizing it. God has a way of flipping the script like that. What they meant for harm, heaven used for healing, and while they sit in confusion, wondering how you're still standing, how you're thriving, you're busy building, growing, and glowing. You've realized you don't have to clap back or clear your name. Truth defends itself in time. Let them sit with their guilt, their regret, and their unanswered questions. That's not your burden to carry anymore. You've got higher places to go. Here's a truth bomb backed by research. People who respond to betrayal with growth instead of vengeance report higher levels of emotional resilience, mental clarity, and even physical health. Forgiveness, not for them but for you, has been proven to reduce stress and boost your immune system. So no, this isn't about revenge. This is about release. It's about leveling up, not looking back. Because in the end, the betrayal didn't define you, it refined you. And now you're unstoppable. You don't just glow up, you show up for yourself, your purpose, and your future. And nothing, not even betrayal, can touch that kind of strength. So let them whisper, let them watch, let them wonder. You just keep rising, keep. Point 7, God is elevating you right in front of them. This is more than a plot twist. It's a divine revelation. A supernatural setup that no scriptwriter, no hater, no enemy could have seen coming. Psalm 23, 5 doesn't just whisper hope, it declares victory. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Let's break this down, not just as a comforting verse, but as a spiritual law being fulfilled in real time. While they were laughing, plotting, gossiping behind your back, heaven was arranging a banquet, and not in private. No, this is front row, full view for every doubter who said you'd never make it. Every blessing, every opportunity, every moment of peace is now being served like royal courses at a feast they never expected you to attend, let alone host. But here's where it gets powerful. This isn't petty revenge. No look at me now flex. This is what we call divine justice, a sacred reset where truth is the judge and peace is the reward. Revenge seeks harm, justice restores balance. You didn't have to stoop to their level. While they were crafting rumors, you were cultivating character. While they schemed, you healed. While they weaponized silence, you weaponized prayer. You didn't break down, you broke through. And now, the same people who once giggled at your struggle are squinting at your glow. Your life is the testimony. Your peace is the announcement. The very ones who dismissed you are now whispering about your resilience, caught between guilt and awe. They thought they buried you, but they forgot you were a seed. And now the bloom is undeniable. But don't let bitterness poison this harvest. Bitterness is a thief. It steals the joy God wrapped inside each blessing. It clouds your clarity and dims your shine. Choose better over bitter. Choose growth over grudges. Because the true win isn't in their regret. It's in your peace. It's in the fact that you kept your hands clean while God worked behind the scenes. That's the crown. Let them wrestle with their own remorse. Let their conscience do the talking. You saw the betrayal. You felt the sting. But you kept walking. You didn't expose them. God did, and in the most poetic way possible. Not through shame, but through your success. So take your seat at the table, not with arrogance, but with awe. Every chair, every dish, every spotlight, custom placed by the hand of God, because when heaven sets the stage, even your enemies have to applaud. Chosen ones, don't chase apologies. Don't beg for understanding. Don't fight to be heard. When God fights for you, no one can deny your truth. You were never meant to be a victim. You were destined to be a vessel. Your pain had a purpose. Your silence had strength. And your story? Oh, it's being told by the divine now. Let them squirm. Let them sweat. Because the sick truth is out, and you didn't have to say a word. Stay awake, stay grounded, and walk like the chosen soul you are. Because the world is finally seeing what God always knew. The truth is yours. Amen.